Hi everybody, so we're back with our second video. So today we wanted to speak about red flags in relationships. Now, some of you guys actually inboxed me about the asking what happened to the guys and our the guy that left me and then the person she was with. And so what happened? So the question is did we go back to them? And so I'm speaking for me personally. So he did try to come back. So that is true. He did try to come back, and I want to sit here and say that I was like, no, I'm not gonna. I don't want you back. That's it. I'm a strong woman, and I don't need no man, and all. Okay, but that's not exactly what happened. I didn't take him back all the way, but I did entertain the thought. So I was, even after he dumped me, I honestly, just kind of at the time, I wasn't feeling the best about myself, so my integrity kind of took a back seat a little bit, and I entertained the thought of going back to him, and so we talked a little bit, but the thing is that I don't know if you guys ever feel this way, or if you even feel this way, when someone kind of betrays you or is not loyal, all of a sudden they look different. So to me, like the man that I remembered, handsome guy, very smart, charming, intelligent man, I didn't really see him that way anymore. I wasn't attracted. Honestly, I was not attracted to him like that anymore, because he left the way that he left. It wasn't just that he left; it's the way that he left. So I didn't go back to him, but I did entertain it. But eventually, I just kind of like, okay, no, I can't do it. Forget it. And then the guy that where it was just over, he did come back. He came back maybe 2 or 3 years later, and I had changed a lot. I mean, internal change, and external change, and he did come back. We did have a relationship, but I found, because my esteem had changed, and because I had, learned a lot of lessons, he suddenly didn't look the same to me at all. And he didn't look the same to me at all anymore. So I ended up leaving that relationship because I felt like I just deserved more, honestly. Yeah. That was what it was. I just deserved more, and I wanted more. And, that's part of growing, And then I think I had a good an opportunity, because I think a lot of times when he first came in, I actually felt pretty lucky that I got to date a guy like this, because he looked good on paper, you know what I mean? But when he came back, he looked different to me, right, because I had changed, not because he had changed. Right. So that was it, and we were together for 6 months. Yeah. And then I was pretty much done. And I think when we talk about red flags, that's the one big thing that I think that I did then that I probably shouldn't have done, is when someone looks good, like she was saying, on paper, and they're not, their character doesn't, you kind of don't pay full attention to their character, you know what I mean? And I feel like I was just going around with rose-colored glasses. I think I knew that there were underlying issues in the relationship that I wasn't unwilling to, at the time, admit that the problems that were there. I just kind of wanted the relationship. And that's like the biggest thing that I think a lot of people do, specifically women, is that in our age, in my age group, sometimes you just want the relationship, and you're tired of you want to settle down. I genuinely wanted to settle down. I was genuinely in love with this person. It wasn't like I wasn't in love with them, but I really could have I should have paid closer attention to some of the signs of, maybe this guy was not going to be here for long haul. So I don't know. But you didn't have red flags? Did you have? Yeah, no, I had red flags. I just felt like I did have red flags. It's just that there was a part of me that wanted to get married, and there was a part of me that wanted to have children, and this guy wanted those things as well. But I was willing to overlook the hurtful things just to be in a relationship. And when he came back, and he was still the same. Nothing had changed. The only change was me.
I had changed. I wanted more. I put more into myself. So once you start putting more into yourself, well, then now you want more from someone else.
Yeah.
And he was not willing to be, he wasn't willing to be more than that. And also, I didn't want him to be.
Right.
I didn't want him to be more than that. I like people to be who they are. And you get to see people, you know, for who they are. You don't try to make them into something you really want. He just wasn't we weren't compatible. And it's funny that sometimes a small thing someone can do can make you just sit back and think, why am I sitting here next to this person? And I felt like, why am I trying to make this happen? So then this became more about me. Why am I trying to make this happen? You know what I mean? Why am I trying to make this happen? I'm not happy. Before he came back in my life, I was happy. I was smiling. Then he came back in my life and I'm crying and I'm unhappy and I'm, feeling uncomfortable and insecure all of a sudden again. And I thought, why am I in this relationship?
Yeah,
why am
I even serving you?
Right.
So what's the
why
point?
am I even having a relationship with a person that I don't feel myself around?
I think that we do this often where we see it, we don't care. We don't pay attention. We don't really pay attention to it just to be in a relationship. But also, it made me think like I'm the common denominator between all of these guys, right? So these guys don't know each other, right? They don't know each other. All the guys I've dated, they don't know each other. But somehow I seem to be attracting men who are have standing issues, right? And so the only conclusion I can really come to is that if I'm the common denominator, then there's something going on with me as well, not just them. I mean, there's something obviously with them, but with me as well, that I am attracting men like that, and then also staying in relationships with men like that. So it's not just that you're attracted to it, but the fact that you keep going knowing that it's not good. And I feel like that was me. Like I had come to the conclusion that, like we always talk about responsibility, accountability, and it's I need to be more aware of, who I was dating. So it wasn't like a humongous surprise to me after this whole relationship was over that he was who he was, because I realized that there's yet another guy, that is exactly, they're different faces, but he's acting exactly like the other men that I've been with. And I feel like that's just something I have to pay attention to. And then I feel like if y'all struggling with that, where especially women, where you feel like gosh, why am I meeting the same guy all the time? Like, why is this always happening? Why are these guys treating me bad? Why? It's like sometimes you have to stop blaming the guy, right? You have to understand that they have their own set of issues, but it always got to bring it back to yourself and say, but why am I seeing this guy? Why am I continuing to go out with this guy when I know I'm not happy? I'm not 100% happy. I know he's doing little things that don't seem right. So why are you meeting people like that? Well, the reason why you're meeting men like that is because you're not, there's something going on with you self-esteem wise, possibly. I'm not a, psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, but there is something to be said for just common sense.
And also you have to humble yourself a little bit, because there are a lot of people who think because they're nice, that they don't understand why they get in bad relationships. You'll hear people say all the time, "Oh, but I'm a nice person." You know what I mean? I'm a nice person. I'm a good man. I'm a good woman. And so there's something wrong with them. And I always think like, you can be a good man or a good woman and be a doormat.
Right.
You can be a good man or a good woman and have low self-esteem and not be able to look at yourself. I think you have to separate the two. Just because you're a good person doesn't mean that you don't have issues.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, don't think because you're a man that goes to work and makes money and brings it home to a woman, or don't think because you're a woman that cooks and goes to church and you got a lot going, you got a good job, and you know that you don't have issues. Because those things come through. Just because you have a job doesn't mean that you're a good person. That means you're a person that's going to work. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that people need to humble themselves a little bit. Right. And so I see a lot of people all the time, especially when breakups happen, the first thing people want to say is they want to defend themselves. Oh, well, I was a good person. I never cheated. I never did anything. But you did do something.
You did something.
But you just don't want to admit that you
something.
did something. There are a lot of people who allow themselves to be taken advantage of and treated badly, and then want to be self-proclaimed and be, oh, but I'm a good person, I'm, a godly man, a godly woman, and I deserve this. But if you believe that you deserve a certain treatment, then you need to get out of a treatment that treats you bad. Don't stay in a relationship because you think you're a good person and then wait for the person to keep hurting you and hurting you and
thinking
hurting
they're going to change,
thinking they're going to change, because the only person that's going to change is you. You can't change someone else. You really can't. And that same person that doesn't treat you well would treat someone else like a goddess.
Yeah.
It's just because they weren't with you.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Right. It's like you have to, if you're not, that's true. It's like you have to make sure that at some, I don't know, I just think that at some point you have to pay attention to yourself and what you're doing. There's something to be said. There's something to be said for you teach people how to treat you. That's something that everyone uses. It's pretty cliche. It's pretty basic, but it's very literal. You literally teach people how to treat you. So if you're continuing on with a relationship, knowing that this person has a history of bad behavior or mistreatment in any way, shape, or form, you're continuing to stay with them and continuing to give them chances, and they are now a student, and you are teaching them. Hey, this is okay. He can get away with this, or she can get away with this, and that's that. Yeah, pay attention.
And, and that's why I love this last relationship, by the way. Yeah, me too. It's because so many of my other relationships, this was something that was when I was younger. This was a theme of mine. It's that I did think, because if I was nice to someone, then they would be nice back to me. And I never understood that. I always thought, like, if I'm good, I don't understand why I'm not being treated well. But the truth is that I was not treating myself well. And whoever comes into your life will know that. Because you give off an energy of low self-esteem. Then a person who is a hurtful person is going to find you. They're never going to date someone that has high self-esteem if they don't. You attract who you are.
True.
So if you attract who you are, then whoever you're sitting across from that you're dating, you have to find yourself in them because you're in there. That's the reason why you're together. You know what I mean? And until you fix what's inside of you, you'll never find someone who treats you with respect. Yeah, that's just the way it is. You found it. A woman that gets abused by a man is a woman that gets abused by many men. Yeah, it's not just by one man. It's always a lot of people, right? Yeah, like, not just a lot of other. That man dates women that he can abuse. Yeah. He'll never date a woman that has high self-esteem and doesn't let her hit. He has to date a woman who he feels will allow that and continue it. And that's the psychology that you have. And so it goes with emotional abuse too. Emotional abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse. If you're used to being treated being talked down to, then you're going to meet someone who likes to talk down to people.
Because people with higher self-esteem or self-worth, it's almost physically impossible, repellent. So it's almost physically impossible for someone with high self-esteem to continue to be with a low self-esteem abusive person or person doesn't a lower vibration person. It's just it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And if you think that you're having some like your esteem is so high, your self-worth is so high, but yet you are with a person, man or woman, whatever, with a person that is hurting you, then you're going to have to question yourself now. Now it's time to be like, okay, so what happened here? And the only way that you're ever going to get a healthy relationship is to have like self knowledge. You have to have knowledge of yourself and understand that this is something about me that I probably need to change, because otherwise I'm gonna keep meeting the same people over and over again, and this is going to be an endless cycle of nothing, and then you're going to come back to the same conclusion where you're mad now because you met yet another person that's being mean, only meaner now because you just let it go on, and now you're getting bitter. So that's what happens. Now you're getting bitter. Now what happens is that because you start dating so many mean people, or they're not treating you right, you start to get a chip on your shoulder. And then that's when the whole trying to date is not fun at all, because you're already going to be assuming, oh, they're going to be mean. They're going to be mean. So you'll never find anybody if you don't acknowledge that you are part of the problem. It's not just that person. I know that's not fun to say. I know people don't like to hear that. So I always understand that it's not always fun, to have to look at yourself. Like, it's not fun to have to look at yourself, especially when you're going through that, but you really do. You got to look at yourself. You got to be able to, people with higher self-worth, will recognize red flags immediately, usually immediately. Like, I have grown from this. Like Kara said, my last relationship, I'm so happy that even happened. I thank him for how he was, because I was able to look at myself and understand that, okay, it's just not just him, it's me. So now I got to look at myself a little bit differently. So yeah, you guys have to make sure that you're in line with yourself and understand what you are worth. Not just as
if you're sitting across from someone who hurts you right now, thank them.
Yeah.
Thank them, because they are really showing you a part of yourself. They're showing you, they're trying to show you.
They're helping you.
They're helping you. They may hurt, but they are helping you see exactly what you accept. And, that's why I always think it's a good idea when you break up with someone to not jump into another relationship, because I think that the idea of not wanting to be alone can make you it can make you feel like you need to be with someone. A lot of people feel, especially, in your 40s, a lot of people feel so weird being single.
Yeah.
Because they feel like it's like almost like a confirmation of being loved. Like, people feel like, if you're single, there must be something wrong with you. That's what a lot of people think in their head, and they feel like they don't want to be that person that doesn't have someone loving them at this point in their life, so they start trying to date everybody, and then as soon as it doesn't work with someone, they jump right into somein else. They jump right in with someone else, and then someone else, and then someone else, and they never take a breath and think, maybe I should slow down, and maybe I should go in and see what's going on, because why are all these people treating me like this? Being a single is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. I think it makes good relationships, because if you have a good relationship with yourself, then you can only be a good relationship with someone else, because people are not supposed to be your happiness. They're not supposed to, no man or no woman is supposed to be your happiness. You have to be your happiness, and then those people are an added bonus to what's already there. They're not there to just, to lift you up all the time. You're supposed to be able to lift yourself up, and you're supposed to already be in a good space so that you can attract good people. You know what I mean? But if you're in a bad space, thinking that because, thinking that if I have a relationship, then I'll be happy.
Right.
If only I get married, I'll be happy. You know what I mean? It sucks being here by myself and going to bed alone. You know what I mean? I need someone, so that will make me happy. No, because normally when you're in that space, you attract someone who feels the exact same way. You know what I mean? And then it doesn't work. You know what I mean? You end up fighting with each other because you're not in it for what's real. You're not in it for chemistry. You're in it for loneliness.
We have a viewer question, y'all. I feel special that we have a viewer. We have a viewer question. If I may ask this question, why would any woman intentionally sabotage their marriage with a good, upstanding, honest, hardworking man that really loves them?
Okay.
So first of all, the person that you're speaking of, she is not here to defend herself. So I'm literally just going by what you're saying here, and I see all kinds of not terrible issues, but issues with the question. So why would a woman sabotage that? So I think the better question needs to be, why do you want to continue with somebody that is sabotaging and hurting you, or whatever the case may be? That's kind of the bigger question. Why a person would do that? Probably because she's not feeling good about herself. I don't know. I know probably she's not feeling good about herself, and she's maybe she's not into you. We can go on. There's a whole bunch of reasons why that could be. But again, forget those reasons. It always goes back to you. This is what we're trying to say, is that always go back to you. Why are you wanting to be with someone that you're describing as a person that sabotages the very relationship that you're in? And you're saying you're a hardworking man, and I'm not disputing that at all. I'm sure you are, but it doesn't matter. You can be the hardest working man in the world, the nicest person in the world. You can be the biggest church goer in the world, biggest humanitarian in the entire world, but still, why would you want? Again, that's a better question, is why would you want to be with someone that's like that? So why are you continuing this.
And then also, how long was it? Because if you're with someone and then all of a sudden they're not treating you right, or there's just something wrong, then you want to have a conversation with them, communicate, because it could be just something wrong, and you just don't know because you haven't communicated. But if this is something that's been going on for a long time, or even perhaps when you met them and you just ignored it until it got so bad that you didn't, you know, and you got so bad that you couldn't stand it anymore, then you have to ask yourself, like, you know, why did I even want this relationship?
Right. What was the point? I mean? What did I get into? What? There's something in the beginning. See, you guys. Okay. So
there's something that you accepted a long time ago that she picked up on. Yeah. I mean, this is just by what was given to us. Yeah. But something that you accepted a long time ago that she picked up on, that she now realized that she can run you over, that she doesn't have to treat you with respect. She doesn't have to do any of that. There's some energy that you gave off early, that she realized that it was okay
to do this,
to treat treat you like this. Now, she could date someone else and treat them with total respect because the energy is completely different. But if you're dating someone and they always treat you bad, or they don't respect what you're putting down,
a very debatable conversation, because I always feel like that, like, and people don't like to hear this all the time, but I do believe that when someone is treating you poorly, they were already doing that prior to, you know. So I feel like there's so I don't agree when people say, oh, out of nowhere they just changed, just overnight the person was just different. So that might be true, it might be accurate. I don't, you know, obviously I don't know everybody in the world, so I can't really say for sure, but it's just, I feel like there's something, if you really look back on your previous relationships, from the beginning of your relationships, right, like when you're dating and all that, there was something, okay, there was something there that I know that made you think, I didn't like that. Like, I didn't like that, but you just kept going because it may have been small. You know what I mean? It may have been small, so you probably didn't really pay much attention to. I don't know. I think that you really do have to go back and look and say, there was something about this person that it was already a little weird. You know, and I don't think a lot of people like to admit that, because when you go back to look at your relationship, you're like, gosh, you're right. You're absolutely right. Like, I didn't even look at that. You know, so I don't know. Like, when I think about when you're saying sabotage, like the question, when you're saying sabotage, anybody that would do that has a standing history, to me, of unbalanced behavior. So I'm just going by the question that you're asking. Not knowing who this person is or the full story. So this is probably a very surface answer. But I don't really need to know this person to say this to you, that you have to now look at why you would want to be with someone who would treat you, sabotage anything, or be mean to you, or want to leave a hardworking man, or whatever it is. That's something you're going to have to come to terms with. It's not so much about what she has done, it's more about what you're putting up with, right? So how much have you put up with? I mean, right? Because I know I've put up with a lot in relationships that I should not have put up with, but I did because I, because you like love the person. Right?
If this is something she's been doing, then this is something that has always kind of been, and it got progressively worse. Yeah. And now it's just, she got comfortable. Yeah. With treating you that way, and now it just got progressively worse.
Because you taught her to.
Right.
You taught her
and
how to do that.
And now because you're so angry with it, because you're getting fed up, now you're mad. Yeah. You know what I mean? And now you're going to say, I'm a good man. I make good money. I bring it home to my family. So how can she not, understand that? You can't make someone love you. Yeah. You can't make someone like you. You can't make someone change. You can only change. You have to love yourself. So again, this is a situation where she's mirroring you because you're together. Yeah. So now you have to look at yourself and think, I'm a nice person, but how do I actually feel about myself? Right. You know what I mean? Right. Like in my own skin. How do I feel in my own skin? How do I feel when I'm single? Yeah. When I'm single, how was I?
Yeah. You date who you are.
So you have to absolutely look at her or just really go within and go, God, I mean, what did I not see? Yeah. Or what did I not want to see?
So what's your limit, really? Like, how far is this going to go?
If you're not really happy and all you are is nice, that's not enough.
Yeah. Nice, hardworking man that's not, I know that's just not enough, because what is enough though is when you can really find your center and your alignment with yourself. That's when you find an aligned woman who is going to meet that characteristic that you're describing about yourself. But if you're saying you're a great guy, which I actually know you, so I know you are a good person. So you really, I feel like now at this point, forget what she's doing and pay attention to what you're accepting. So you're accepting it. So we can agree here that you are accepting it. In case you left, I don't know if you left. I don't know what happened if you guys decided to break up. But when you decide to leave, that's great. But while you're gone, you got to work on yourself, because
I mean, right, fall in love with yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like I fell in love with myself.
Me too.
This whole 7 years, I have fallen in love with me.
It's hard to do.
You know, and it's very hard to sometimes let people in, because I don't want them to disrupt what happiness I have. You know what I mean. But if my happiness is strong, then I should be able to stand it out. You know, it should be able to withstand any person that comes into my life. But what I will say is that you absolutely need to date yourself. Buy yourself flowers. I do that.
Yeah.
You know, and buy yourself flowers. Date yourself. Buy take your own self out to the movie.
Yeah.
You know, I love my own company.
Yeah.
You know, I really do. You know, so but before I didn't. You know what I mean? And so if you don't love your own company and you actually don't really love being with yourself by yourself, then you will absolutely attract someone who's mostly entertainment for you.
Right.
That's basically what that is. Entertainment, until the entertainment just gets on your nerves, and then you can't turn the television off. You have to deal with them and live with them, especially if you make a decision like marriage or have children with them. You know, because a lot of people do this. You know, look, as much as I understand single mothers, a lot of single mothers do. They'll date men and they'll have children with them, and then the first thing they'll do is talk about how crappy the father is. But like, you chose him.
You chose him.
You chose him. Right. You know what I mean? So don't. Even if he isn't a jerk, or her, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
even if that person isn't a jerk and doesn't treat you well, or just an asshole, you know what I mean? You have to ask yourself, like, why is it that I attract these people and have kids with them?
Why,
you know what I mean? Why? They don't know, like Daniel said, they don't know each other.
Right.
So if they don't all know, if all these men don't know each other, then why is it that you keep finding them?
Yeah.
Because there are plenty of women and men out here who are married and happily married.
Right.
And been married for a long time, so it's possible. It's not like it's not possible to have a happily ever after.
Yeah, good
it's
guy.
Possible.
Yeah.
It does take work, but if you're only dating assholes,
then
you have to ask yourself, why am I only dating? Why sometimes
I wasn't very selective.
Hard.
I feel like I wasn't really selective before. Like I would like I always had a type. Here's another thing. I always had like a type, and as I got older, my type has changed, because there is not necessarily one, but now it's just more about, like, is he nice? Like, is his character good? Because I don't pay so much attention to the looks per se. I mean, that means something. I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't mean something to me. But at this point, it's like I tried that before, where I'm only getting this one type of guy. Like I'm so fixated on getting this one type of guy. You have to be more open minded.
Don't be in such a rush to be in a relationship. It's not. It's relationships are really great. It's fun to be with someone, as someone you can talk to, but don't be so in a rush that you miss red flags, that you miss your own happiness, that you're sitting here on a date with someone that you're actually performing, and you don't even realize, like, you're trying to impress them. But I say, be yourself.
Right.
Be yourself. Be yourself all the time. Even if I go out on dates with men, I don't want them. I don't want them to change. I want them to be exactly who they are, because whether I stay or whether I go, I'm picking the right person based on what I'm looking at, not something that they're trying to be from. And even me, like, I'm not going to go there and be different. This is who I am.
Right.
If you don't like who I am, then thanks. That's good. I'm glad you're. Right. We know that now. Like I said before, absolutely has no idea. It does not mean the person's bad.
Yeah.
At all.
Doesn't.
Just because you don't connect does not mean the person there was something wrong with them. It doesn't mean that. It just means that you did not connect with them. But don't try to connect with them. If you shouldn't have to try force a relationship. It just should happen. If it's not just happening naturally, then that person is not for you. And you need to just recognize that.
Right. And people trying to make these relationships happen. And man, I know, I've been there. You try to make these relationships happen, and you can't force something that's not there. And I know people want the look, right? The family, the whole, they want the whole look, but sometimes the look comes with the price. Like, you got to be right with yourself before you start going down that road. Experience tells me that if this person that is sabotaging things and not respecting you, experience tells me that you're not respecting yourself by staying with it. So that's just kind of where I'm at with that. So I hope that kind of like answers your question a little bit, or at least gives you a little bit more different type of insight on maybe, because, maybe what you can do differently. Maybe look at yourself, look what you're doing differently. Because the first thing we do is we always look at what they're doing wrong, right? When someone's treating you bad, it's so easy to be like, oh my God, he or she was so mean to me. They're yelling at me, and they're, causing a ruckus in my life, and, just always mean to me. And, it's so easy to criticize their behavior, because the behavior is the first thing. Everyone's going to see that, right? The behavior is so bad that you can't help but to, so easy. But, really, I don't do that anymore. Now, when I see someone's treating someone poorly, the first thing I do is not look at the person that has the bad behavior as being rude, negative, whatever it is. I go right to the person they're talking to or who they're being like that with. And I just say to myself, like, what's going on with you? Because I had to do that with myself. What's going on with you that you would accept it? And then go back. And then here we go with that back and forth relationships.
And I feel like the reason why you get so upset is because during the process of a relationship not going well, you sacrifice your happiness.
Yeah, right.
And you're sacrificing your happiness, and you just want them to understand. Yeah. And they're not, because you're sacrificing your happiness, and now you feel like they owe you.
Yeah.
They owe you a happiness.
And they really don't.
They owe you a happy life.
They don't
You know
owe
what I
you.
mean? And you're not supposed to sacrifice your happiness. That's the reason why people get so, that's the reason why I feel people get so mad when people break up. It's because they've been so unhappy for a while that they feel as though, they've been so unhappy, and they've sacrificed their happiness for so long that now they're just done. You suck as a person. I hate you. This is what you did for me. You don't do this. You don't pay child support. You don't, what I mean? No one ever wants to go back and say, why did the wrong people?
What the hell
why
am I
does this
doing?
always happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no one ever wants to say that. The first thing everybody wants to do is blame.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. That's why I feel like that's the biggest problem with divorce.
They're mean.
That's why divorces get nasty.
Yeah.
It's because people don't just want to look at themselves. They want to go to court and start fighting each other because it feels good to fight.
Yeah.
It's sure. You did it. You did it. You didn't know. You were together. You both did it.
You're right.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Time that you guys were in love and it was all fresh and new. You guys were both in it then together. All of a sudden we're a couple. Everything is together.
Still in it.
And then when it gets all dirty and ugly, all of a sudden it's like they did this wrong. They're the one being mean to me. It's like no. You're both in it. Just like you were when you were in love. And now when it's a hot mess, you guys are both in it. So you can't you guys cannot blame the other person. They have their own set. People who treat you poorly it's accurate. They do have their own set of problems and issues. That's their problems and issues that they have now projected off onto you. Where you went wrong is that you kept going with them. You kept being with the person, he or she or whatever. You kept being with them, and that's where you went wrong. So you can play the blame game for as long as you want. Like, I mean, for years and years, I'm going to tell you some unhappy years. It's going to be a shorter ride if you just start to come to terms with what you have done in your own mess. And it sounds super repetitive. I know it sounds repetitive, but accountability is not fun, right? But it is necessary and it's healing. It's healing because it helps you it helps you see red flags way before it gets ugly. Before it gets weird, you will see it. It can be the smallest thing. You'll see it, and then you can just be, if you're dating life or whatever, it can be more healthy and more fun. Your dating life will be more healthy and more fun if you know who you are and what you will and will not accept.
Because if you don't look at yourself, you go on other relationships or other dates. You start dating,
just dating,
and then you're bitter. You become bitter because you're still mad at them, and you don't want to look at yourself, so you date another person just like them, and you go on your dates talking about them, and you start giving off that energy of
that's a bad
bitter
look,
person
y'all.
that doesn't.
Don't do that.
It's not good. It's not a good look.
Don't go on dates talking about y'all past relationship. Good Lord.
No.
Don't.
And if you are going on relationships talking about past relationships, it's a cue that you shouldn't be dating yet. You know what I mean? Like you just shouldn't do that. It's just like,
especially like when I say talk about past relationships, when you start when you're doing the blame game with that person, that my last guy, girl, whatever, was mean to me. You know what I mean? And don't do that. Just get out there. Make sure that you are very aware of yourself, and so that way you won't find people who are a hot mess. Okay, so that's really all we have today. This is number 2. Hope we can keep this going. If you guys have like maybe topic ideas, that would be nice too. We have a ton of things that we always talk about, but we're going to continue to talk about. But if you guys have topic ideas, that'd be really cool. And we can kind of like touch on that and give you guys our opinion on that. Like the page and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget about the YouTube channel. We're still trying to get that up there. We got
a total of 7.
We have 7 YouTube subscribers.
I love that.
Okay, and one of them is me. So I'm just saying.
I love that. I love my page.
I love all 7, and I'm gonna keep going. But yeah, like the YouTube page if you guys get a chance. If you guys are interested, like the YouTube page or like this page, and we will be back again on next Tuesday with another video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.